G'day traders, we're going to wrap up of Friday the 18th of May. So this candle here was the one we were approaching starting Friday. So what happened, even though we're in a seller's trend, and basically we're coming down to a support area here, so was expecting at some stage to get quite a bounce and maybe the buyers have a little bit of a go, because the situation now is we've got 5 red candles in a row, and this was actually the 6th red candle. We had a bounce, a support area that could provide a bounce, and the trend's looking quite extended. So the market, even though it's likely to continue down, it just won't continue down all in the one motion. So it's just natural for markets to get a bounce. Also Thursday was very much a day where it just continually pushed down without any sort of buyers coming in. So for that to happen 2 days in a row is unlikely. So I really expected some buyers come in on this Friday. And as you'll see, I mean, they never really came at any stage. Just to show you the quick day there, again, they've pretty much had a sell-off and quite a strong day on the downside. So, these buyers still haven't come. And it's kind of, I mean, what you got to do is approach the day saying, yeah, like definitely, still stick on the sell side, but keeping in mind that there's definitely a bounce coming. But of course, we're not going to favour the buyers just because that bounce could come, because at the end of the day, it's a seller's market. But the fact we've pushed down again just means that at some stage we've got to expect a green bar to get that bit of a bounce and to relieve the pressure from the downside. The fact it's so extended, some stage soon. So we'll keep a look at it for next week. 1293 area as well. I think, did we bounce off? So we basically got to 1293. Yeah. So this is an area we're expecting the market to get to. 1293. If you look back on the daily chart again, that was quite a significant area. So that's this low here. And that's an area that we could really bounce from. So, we're down there now and right on top of it. So we'll see what happens as we approach this area again. Basically, to start off the day, very sideways. You can see over here on the 1 minute chart, really bouncing between power points and expecting some sort of breakout to come. Eventually, we pushed up high, and you can see broken up and broke through and made new cash market highs. And then we've started to push down here as we got the signal here. So this is a 5 minute sell signal. So I think what it is, it's right between a 5 minute fade and right between a 5 minute sell. As you can see, the sell side worked really quite well. And normally speaking, it's one you'd go for on the sell side. The moving average is starting to push down. But with keeping in mind that we're expecting a bounce, and these markets did temporarily push higher and break the highs here. Depending on what the other markets are doing, the other markets were holding a little bit steady. They'd really started to drop, obviously, at around the 5 minute sell area. But I thought it was a real decision area for the market, not one I was prepared to take either way. I saw it as a 50-50 area coming up to it, but thought it was a real decision where this is maybe where the buyers could come in and maybe push higher. But in the end, it wasn't the case. It's the sellers push lower, and this is, again, they've started to have their way on the downside. From there, we got this bit of a bounce here, coming back. So this is the area where we look for a pullback and a continuation with the sellers, especially coming back and kind of with a bit of a resistance of the bottom of this earlier area here. So as the predictive crossed up, which is here, we did get a push down, and it comes up quite well on the, where is it? It's this area here on the 1 minute chart. So that's a good couple of points there. But then, rather than going on, the buyers came back temporarily and pushed back higher again, and came back up into this area where they started to push lower from. But then another 5 minute sell came up here. But what was happening around here, and again, this is a 50-50 and an area we're waiting for. Up through here, other markets and the ES were starting to break up through support. But especially the Russell and a few other markets were sticking really high and showing real holding and buying formations, like they want to go up and test these highs and expecting this sort of bounce. I thought it was a real area where the buyers could come in. So obviously this sell signal came up. I need a bit more confirmation. I wasn't prepared to take it short, but at the same time I wasn't prepared to actually buy it as a fade here. What I wanted to see it do is come back, test this swing higher, and as long as the other markets are breaking, then get on the buy side. So that was the plan in that area. That's what I remember thinking in that area. But in the end, sellers decided to go on with it. You can see the 5 minute sell did get stopped out, so it did temporarily start to push back higher, and just waiting for that confirmation. But in the end, they just didn't have enough, and the sellers came in and took control. And you can see they've pushed all the way down to the lows. So over to the 1 minute chart to show you the same sort of things. Actually, I've just put up the boxes here as far as the areas that we're specifically following. So on the 5 minute chart, looking for this first pullback area. So we pushed lower, didn't really get a pullback. Also, we did here. So it's a funny one as to whether you can it. I think this was still very sideways area when you look at the market, especially the 1 minute chart looks very sideways. Then we pushed higher and broke. So this is really counting as the first trend. So looking to catch the pullback here and then get a continuation as far as looking at it just as it is. This particular one, it failed, so it gives us 4 from 8, so it's still striking at 50%. And as far as the ones with the dailies, so today wasn't with the dailies, but we've had 4 of them with dailies, and as well it's 2 from 4, so it's striking 50% as well. Over time, really want to see that numbers with the dailies, the percentages on that sort of thing increase, and we should see that the percentages start to get a better return as opposed to just the as is signals. But I'm still expecting most of it, not most, half of them to work just as is. On the 10-point trends today, and I'll go through them soon, we had 2 lots of 10-point trends, so brand new trends. So what we can do is, if there's a brand new trend, you can get multiple signals within a day. So we had 2 lots of 10-point trends, a pullback, a retracement to a power point. On this case, both worked. So it's doing really well. It's 6 from 9. So again, 2/3 of the time it's pulling off, which is fantastic. And then the second power point after a yellow, there wasn't one even, there was a yellow. You can see here the fact as soon as it touches this downside power point, it cancels out the grey. So it's no system calls for it today, but still that 1 from 2. So take you through this 1 minute chart. Here's this sideways area. Eventually we pushed up, got some momentum on the upside. Coming back, thought maybe the market had a real chance to hold here. It really depends on the other markets, but at the time they weren't showing the most consistency about holding the uptrend. But it was something to definitely consider, especially based on the dailies. That, like I said, we're expecting a bounce, but still you'll be very careful, because at the end of the day it is going against the dailies and they are on the downside, even though we're expecting that bounce. From there we pushed lower. We got this 10-point trend after pushing through 1, 2, 3 power points on the same side. Come back to this purple here. So this purple, the other markers were holding really well. They weren't breaking up back into this range, so it's one that had the other market support and ended up just holding that power point and pushing lower. So that's one of the power points there that we recorded. From there, this is where we started to get this holding formation. So it looked like the buyers were coming back, and you can see we've hit all consecutive upper power points, no lower power points, and not just that, other markets were really showing great form as well. So I expected to come down here, hold, and then push higher. What would have happened if this market had got higher, I guess broken up through this area here and maybe got up around here, then I would have been a lot more aggressive and taken the power point or some sort of fade and get on a lot earlier on the buyer side, but just didn't quite show enough momentum, so I had to wait for it to come back and then break up again to get any sort of buy signals. And you can see that if you haven't got quite the evidence there supporting the upside, especially taking into consideration that there is sellers around, you just got to wait and get that confirmation. In this case, it didn't come. So that's the new uptrend. Then we got a new downtrend here, so we're counting 10 points down, which we did get well and truly. And then again, we got this purple, or one first power point on the retracement side, and the other marks were holding that area as well, and looked like it had a lot of chance to work, which it did. And then just another little push down to finish off the day. So overall, quite an active Friday. And plenty of opportunities there. So I'll speak to you guys Monday.